Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for staying with us right here on TV47. My name is Betty Kialo, and welcome to the show tonight. I hope that you had a fantastic week. Well, let's see if we can actually end it very, very strong. So tonight, of course, we have a fantastic show lined up for you. Top of the headlines, of course, but of course, we also have Willis Ochieng. Let's say a quick hello to the English master. How are you, Willis? Naona uko sawa kabisa, unakaa smart. Are you ready for the show tonight?
Nico Salama, and I'm very ready for the show to do the needful, Betty, and that is it.
All right, thank you very much. Willis, of course, is going to be talking to us about proper English conversations and pronunciations, everything. Of course, looking forward to that segment with Willis Ochieng. But apart from that, also, we have a very interesting discussion about the World AIDS Day. It's going to be happening, of course, on December 1st, and there is a half marathon. What are the numbers looking like? Where are we as a country? So we're going to be having that conversation with somebody who, of course, has a lot of information about this particular subject. So let's wait for that. But for now, let's begin the show with the highlights. Tonight, 3 women killed in Isli knew Hashim Dagane, but how was Dagane arrested? Raila Odinga launches his AUC chairmanship bid.
Africa is the richest continent on the planet Earth in terms of resources.
Raila says he is a Pan-Africanist and an Afro-optimist. The government issues a tough warning to anyone found involved in exam malpractices in the ongoing KCC exams. Lecturers' strike paralyzes learning in universities for the second week now.
We are on this strike till the government does its part.
As dons vow not to return to work until their demands are addressed. All right, thank you so much for joining us and staying with us right here on TV47. Let's begin with our top stories tonight, and our sign language interpreter is Rhoda Nyamai. Now, tonight, the launch of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's continental campaign for the Africa Union Commission chairmanship in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia this evening is a crucial step meant to counter his formidable challenger, Djibouti's Foreign Affairs Minister Mohamed Yusuf. Now, the Djibouti candidate, who has had a head start after the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Foreign Affairs Ministers bloc endorsed his bid in August, has forced Odinga to campaign, of course, for the Secretariat to reorganize his campaign amid hurdles on the broad mad to Addis in February next year. Apollo Kamau has these details.
The unveiling of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's continental campaign for the African Union Commission chairmanship sets the stage for a full-throttle continental campaign clustered across 5 regions in Africa that will see Odinga, a veteran politician, face off Djibouti's Foreign Affairs Minister Mohamed Yusuf, a career diplomat.
The Kenya candidate offers more of the political outlook. The other candidate will appear to be more the technician. And whether the job needs a technician or a political operator, I think it needs both.
Raila Odinga.
Odinga's age and his political past is likely to come into play in the quest for support from African heads of state. A case in point, his mock swearing in as a people's president during President Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure, his dalliance with opposition leaders in Africa, his closeness to former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, who campaigned against current Nigerian President Bola Tinubu during elections, with some countries on the continent perceiving him as a communist other than a Democrat.
Raila in the past was fairly radical. And, you know, one can assume he's a pro-communist. They will work well with China, work well with Russia. And so you find people raising questions, is he really going to work well with democracy?
It is Kenya which is being judged. And secondly, of course, the candidate himself. His reputation in the past, and the others, they know him. The African leaders know him. Some think of him very highly. Others have question marks.
Odinga's campaign team has been divided into 5 teams, expected to cover North, South, East, West and Central Africa. The French and Arab-speaking countries are a concern to Odinga campaign team after the 27-member bloc of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation endorsed his bid in Cameroon in August, days after Odinga was endorsed by East African heads of state in Nairobi.
The one in Djibouti is being supported by a lot of people, by Arab and a lot of people. He's not going to step down. And so we must figure out how to deal with him.
Kenya's role as a lead state in East Africa and the blue-eyed boy of the United States, having secured a seat at the UN Security Council and a major non-NATO ally, could also be another hurdle in Odinga's AUC quest. Kenya is also grappling with external factors in Odinga's bid, as Western powers and China, who have a major stake in funding AU operations and infrastructure, could be divided on his candidacy. Despite assurances for support ahead of the February vote, the head of state's secret ballot vote could spring a surprise. In 2017, former CS Amina Mohamed lost the vote after 7 rounds of voting. Apul Kamau, TV47.
Now, the government has issued a tough warning to anyone found involved in exam malpractices in the ongoing KCC exams. Now, this as one supervisor was arrested for taking a photo of the exam and sharing it online, as Ruga Eval now tells us.
A school in Kakamega is now under investigation after one of the exam supervisors was accused of taking photos of a KCSE exam paper and distributing them on social media. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, and education officials visited the school, immediately launching an investigation. They seized mobile phones and other items from the supervisors, later taking 6 individuals into custody who recorded statements at the DCI offices in Kakamega. In a tragic turn of events, a student by the name Eugene Makala from Mukoloso High School has lost his life as he was sitting for his KCSE exam.
Tukaamua kumubeba mpaka hospitali ambayo kufika huko akapatikana wakati hako harakati ya kuenda hiyo njiani akaacha.
Na kama hospitali yetu ya Shamahubu ingekuwa na dawa na ingekuwa na daktari wa kutosha kutushughulikia vyema, sidhani kama pia tungepoteza mmoja wetu. Kwa hivyo ni uchungu sana kwa sisi. Wengi wetu tumeshindwa kutamka ya kwamba ndugu yetu ametuacha.
As the exam enters its 5th day, the Ministry of Education has expressed pride in the overall conduct of the exams. While acknowledging isolated incidents of cheating, they have emphasized that stringent measures are in place to deter and penalize such behavior.
And you've done very well. We've not had any influences from anywhere in this area and even from this school.
We've ran a good race so far. There have been few incidences of real isolated incidences of telephones. I think across we might have had around 11 cases, I think. And to us, this is a good run this year.
Meanwhile, parents and students from Silver Belt School in Eldoret are calling on the government through the Ministry of Education to provide clarity and support after their children were allegedly made to sit a fraudulent KCSE exam.
Tumekuwa tukizungukia hapa na pale kuhakikisha watoto wetu wamefanya mtihani. Lakini wakati tulipofika sub-county, hatukuelekezwa vizuri, we were not satisfied with the information. Wakati tumekuja county, we are not satisfied with the information. They are not giving us the period ni lini watafanya mtihani.
Ruga Eval, TV47.
All right, now moving on, the main suspect in the killing of 4 women in Nairobi, Hashim Dagane, was well known to the victims. Dagane will remain in police custody for 21 more days at the Muthaiga police station tonight. Samira Mohammed depicts a picture on the movement of Hashim Dagane, an alleged Ethiopian citizen, and how he was arrested by DCI sleuths after committing the callous murder of the 3 women in Nairobi.
22nd October, 53 minutes past midnight. The CCTV footage captures Amina Mohammed and Nusweba Abdi before they went missing. One day before their bodies were discovered in Nairobi's Parkland area and Bahati in Eastleigh. The 2 appearing to refer to the prime suspect in their murder and their 2 family members, Daka Abdinur and Abu Adan, who is Hashim Dakani, a clear indication that Dakani was not a stranger to the family. Acting on intelligence leads by the DCI sleuths, Hashim Dakani was operating as a school driver at a primary school in Nairobi's Eastleigh area, where he also operated as a taxi driver and is believed to have built a relationship with the family. And minutes later, the 2, Amina and Nusweba, are caught on CCTV camera boarding a Nissan Note car with the registration number KDQ 718, allegedly owned by Hashim Dakani. And this was the last time the pair were seen alive. Investigations conducted by DCI officers determined that around 2 a.m. on 23rd October, Dakane had made a payment through his mobile phone at a petrol station in Athi River before heading to Machakos County, where the Habu's body was discovered. And later on the same date, CCTV footage captures Hashim Dakane at a California hospital in Nairobi's Eastleigh area. And on 31st October at exactly 6 a.m., Hashim Dakane is captured in a CCTV footage, leaving a room in an apartment in Nairobi's Lavington area, where it is alleged that he carried out the callous murder of his 4th victim, Daka Abdinur. At around 6:02 a.m., the CCTV footage shows Hashim Dagane carrying 2 bags believed to contain the remains of Daka Abdinur's skeleton, which was later discovered at the Langata cemetery on the same date at around 8 a.m. And on 2nd November, a worried and full of fear Hashim Dakane is captured in the CCTV footage, not knowing that sleuths from the DCI were hunting him down. On a chilly morning of November 3rd, Hashim Dakane was captured at his hideout in Nairobi's Eastleigh area, having killed 4 women, among them Nusweba Abdi, Amina, Deka and the Habo. Samira Mohammed for TV 47, Nairobi.
Well, to matters education now, and learning has been paralyzed in all public universities following the ongoing lecturers' strike for the 2nd week now. Now, the University Academic Staff Union has vowed to continue with the strike if the return to work formula as agreed on 26th of September this year is not implemented, as Anastasia Mukabi now tells us.
As the lecturer strike continues for the 2nd week now, the Downs have accused the government of failing to take their industrial action seriously by failing to hold interministerial meetings to resolve their demand.
As a union, we have realized that the CS and the PS are not ready. They are not willing to resolve this matter. And you are saying, if you are not willing to resolve the issue affecting lecturers, please leave, resign and leave your office.
At the Dedan Kimathi University of Technology in Karatina, Downs raised concerns after their colleague was fired for not teaching during the strike.
Of our lecturers was sacked because he did not teach. One of the reasons is because he did not teach during the strike period.
In response to this, Downs have vowed to continue with the strike and warned the vice-chancellors from intimidating their industrial action that is protected.
Chancellors have a union that they are using to intimidate their workers. That it's the only time they banned the midnight oil and resolved this matter.
What you're urging the government to do is, we have done everything, the simulations are correct, it is your time to do your part.
And I want to tell all our members that we are not going to give in. We shall not stop striking. The strike is on.
However, Moi University was supposed to open today, but the university staff blocked the parliamentary committee at the administration block, refusing to go back to work until they get their full salaries.
We are demanding. Ndio hata sisi turudi kazi. Hiyo 6 months enye aliruka plus na saa ya 7 atulipe yote.
Tukisema hao wanarudi kazini without a return to work formula, tunadanganyana.
With the heated interrogations of the institution's Vice-Chancellor Isaac Kosgei on the embezzlement of funds and irregularities at Moi University, a section of leaders have called for the dismissal of the university's current management and recommended that the institution be put under caretaker control.
We want to start Moi University in a big way. To start it afresh, is it? To get new management from top. Au namna gani? Na irudi chini.
Anastasia Mukabi, TV47.
Now, the country has spent close to 1.5 trillion shillings to pay local borrowing interest in the last financial year, up 30% from around 1.1 trillion shillings in the previous year. This is in addition to almost 800 billion shillings servicing to external debt. National Treasury has now issued a stern warning against further borrowing, cautioning that if there is no deceleration, the country will use all the collected revenue to pay interest. Hibak Said tells us more.
Kenya's debt is bordering unmanageable limit at 10.581 trillion as the National Treasury now admits the growing borrowing appetite to maintain expenditure might consume total revenue collection in the country. The total public debt increased by 2.9% in the last year, while public debt to the gross domestic product reduced from 72%.
And that is why at the National Treasury we have pursued a fiscal consolidation strategy, because we are saying that we can't continue taking more debt, because now we are at a level where we are at the cliff. If we continue taking, default could be imminent, and that is not going to be good for the economy.
Members of Parliament are looking into adjusting the debt ceiling to beyond the 10 trillion shilling mark. In the last financial year, interests paid on domestic borrowing alone increased by more than 300 million shillings, exacerbated by late payment penalties, service costs, and commitment fees. These, according to the Office of the Controller of the Budget, is an unnecessary cost incurred upon an already bloated debt.
We have quite a task to put together the resources to pay the debt. So if we get together here to find how we can move forward and how we can find a solution.
The Treasury, however, maintains that the ministry is actively pursuing expenditure cuts through fiscal consolidation, albeit the solution remains to be the widening of the tax collection net, saying KRA must plug all revenue leakages.
Punguze deni. Sababu deni inatuumiza. Kwa kulipa ushuru ndio tujitegemee.
Among these sectors under the microscope for more taxes include the agricultural sector, which the Treasury says makes up for more than a third of the gross domestic product, alongside the budding digital space. The end-all, be-all solution for the Treasury at the moment is increasing the tax base and not tax rates, as they now say they have done their best to reduce expenditures across different state departments. Now they say the expenditure has been at an all-time high since the inception of the 2010 Constitution. Hibak Said for TV47 Nairobi.
Thanks, Hibak. Now, the Ministry of Health now says that help desks will be set up by Monday next week to help in registration of patients into the new health scheme. However, the National Council of Churches of Kenya has urged the government to consider halting the implementation of the Social Health Authority, as many Kenyans are suffering. Elizabeth Atieno now tells us more.
So far, 14 million Kenyans have registered into the new Social Health Authority. This clearly shows that over 42 million Kenyans are yet to register into the scheme. In a bid to bridge this gap, the Ministry of Health is now seeking to set up help centers to aid in mass registration.
And we are looking to set up the help desks as soon as possible, soonest by Monday. So we will have the help desks to improve registration.
Some of the patients seeking services in health facilities abroad are also facing immense challenges after receiving treatment and awaiting the guarantee of payment from the government under SHA. The Ministry of Health has encouraged the stranded patients to reach out to SHA for assistance.
Regarding the stranded patients, we are requesting that they can reach out through the call center to the Social Health Authority, and each individual case will be addressed accordingly. But we are working on policies to ensure that there is accessible care even to that level, because that was part of the benefit package.
Elsewhere, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, is now calling on the government to halt the implementation of the Social Health Authority, citing major challenges surrounding the health scheme, leaving patients in a state of distress.
It does not make sense to us that Kenyans are now paying more money but are getting less benefit. And we are not saying scrap it, but we are saying please let's revert to NHIF for the time being as they organize themselves to deal with the issues so that we may save lives.
CS Deborah was speaking during the third graduation ceremony of 39 specialized nurses at the KU Referral Hospital.
Your knowledge and skill will be paired with your immense compassion, helping to guide and comfort those who may feel lost or overwhelmed.
Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has unveiled his continental campaign for the African Union Commission chairmanship, promising to transform the African Union from a talking shop to an organization that will spearhead Africa's growth and economic development. Now, Odinga, who was flanked by Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and Principal Secretary Korir Sing'oei, said he will turn vision into reality and dismantle barriers that hinder progress across the continent. Mudavadi, who led the government's high-profile delegation, described Odinga as a lifelong Pan-Africanist best suited for the job.
I can tell you without fear of contradiction that 93% of these resolutions which are passed here are never implemented. That is by confirmation from Mr. Faki himself. So it has become a talking shop. I intend to change that to ensure that all the resolutions which are passed here are properly implemented. So we will not put anything in the agenda and the resolution if we know it cannot be implemented. And if it's not implemented, we'll have a very good reason to explain why it was not implemented.
In the Honorable Raila, we have a compact and complete leadership package that is founded on teamwork, boldness in decision-making, Pan-Africanism, and responsive to the collective and unique aspirations of each member state of the African Union.
Even though there are many who may be qualified in the Republic of Kenya, as we looked at these responsibilities, and as we juxtaposed these responsibilities with the current global challenges and the place of Africa in this globe, there were only very few names, Excellencies, that the Republic of Kenya could present. And there was no better name to present than the name of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. He is the candidate.
Now, Kenya has witnessed a surge in numbers of unregistered refugees in the country from different countries facing various security challenges. Well, despite Kenya hosting 750,000 refugees in Dadaab and Kakuma camps, the actual number of unregistered refugees remains a mystery, as it has emerged that Kenya cannot track the numbers since the country depends on UNHCR data. Stakeholders are now insisting on the need of scrutiny of the refugees streaming in the country.
In a stakeholders meeting on matters refugees held in Mombasa today, it has emerged that despite Kenya hosting 750,000 refugees, the number is still surging every day. However, the country cannot account for exact number of unregistered refugees since the data is in Hungary and therefore depending on UNHCR data.
19 and the attendant requirements. Recently, my department was assessed in terms of its compliance to data sharing, data confidentiality and privacy. Yes, we have been certified as data processors, but we are processing data that is again held by a third party.
Stakeholders led by Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Lands aired their concerns on the challenges culminating from the surge of refugees, including security threats, as some of the refugees end up working with terror groups.
Wako pale wanaishi. Na umesikia hata wengine sasa wanakuja hapa na mapasi zao, mapassport zao. Na hata wanaweza kutumia zile passports kusafiri nje ya Kenya na kurudi. Hiyo pia ni hatari katika usalama ya taifa. Hiyo ndio mambo ambayo tunataka kuangazia na kulete juu ama kuamplify, ndio sasa tuweze kujua kwamba kwenda mbele ni nini tutafanya, kwa sababu hata pia usalama wetu ni ya muhimu.
Garissa governor, whose county hosts the Dadaab refugee camp, lamenting of Kenya becoming a dumping site for refugees from various regions with none or little help from relevant bodies, thus becoming a challenge to the host counties.
We've discussed issues of insecurity. We've discussed matters of, disease outbreaks and many others. I think my presentation is available, and all those were there for all these years, and therefore now is the time.
And United Nations must not leave us with a burden. They either return the refugees into their country, or they continue sustaining and maintaining them.
Further, the stakeholders urge the tightening of knobs on security areas for the refugees streaming in the country.
Hii screening of refugees, mimi sioni kwa nini wanakuja kwanza, kwa sababu right now Somalia kuna amani. Lakini kama ni lazima wacha screening ifanywe pale border. Ili kama ni refugee ambaye ni genuine ndio aruhusiwe kupita, kama si genuine, kama ni fake, arudishwe mapema asiweze kuvuka katika nchi yetu.
Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, now moving on, Cape Media's team, courtesy of Cooperative Bank, is on a campus wave tour at the Mount Kenya University Thika campus. This collaboration aims to mentor youth countrywide to create a financial-wise future by registering on the Year app. Take a look.
Thika's sub-county youths were thrilled to engage with the Cape Media team courtesy of Cooperative Bank campus wave tour in Mount Kenya University. Through training and inspiring young talent in these dynamic pods, this collaboration aims to educate youths in transforming their passion into business by registering on Year app.
We have an app that we've created, a very simple journey, A to Z, that takes about a few seconds. You already have an app and you have an account. So today we're here training guys on how to, in different pods to show you how you can monetize your skills.
Hundreds of youths who showed up were pleased to register on Year and eager to acquire financial literacy skills and create a financial-wise future.
I thank Cooperative Bank for at least nimepata bank account, and pia
At least tansaidia kusave.
To Binance wenye wamna withdraw mnaweza ya account hapo ama save do ama invest na ya, so everyone uko welcome to kutengeneza hii account.
This wave intends to combat the unemployment crisis in the country by turning youth's creativity, flexible mindset and skills into business.
Na of course, watu wote tuna download app ya ama ni aje?
Anastasia Mukabi, TV47.
Sports News brought to you by Maybets. Join Maybets leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1 au draw X au away team 2 kwa game ya siku ya free bet. Weka namba yako ya simu, weka password ya account yako. Chagua submit free bet. Utapata free bet kwa account yako ya Maybets. Usisahau kuverify account yako. Kama hutakuwa verified, utapoteza free bet yako after 2 days. Betting is strictly for 18 years and over. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. BCLB number 0000578.
Maybet na minia na najishindia. Pesa inavutia.
Well, it's now time for some sporting action. And the Football Kenya Federation county elections slated for this Saturday have been stopped by a Kitui court. Now, a group called the Kenya Football Association, KFA, filed a case today claiming that they are the rightful body to oversee the elections. The court issued an injunction preventing the FKF Electoral Board from conduction of the exercise until the case is heard. Well, tomorrow's elections were to elect FKF branch officials comprising of chairperson and deputy, the secretary, treasurer, women's and youth representatives. The FKF Electoral Board is currently responding to this development.
Vilabu ni kuwashauri kwamba wa make the right decision kwa sababu Mombasa ni county ambayo inapenda mpira sana. Na sisi kama viongozi wa Mombasa na wa Kenya kwa jumla tunaomba kura zao ili waweze kumchagua Salim Ali Said ndio aweze kutengeneza mpira.
Tuliona hakuna mabadiliko kwa football ya youth. Ndio maana na mimi nikasimama nikasema I believe I will be the change of our football youth.
Changamoto kubwa kwa vilabu vyetu ni ufadhili. Tunatumia gharama nyingi kucheza mpira. Ili gharama zile zipungue ni lazima tupate udhamini. Ili udhamini uje lazima kiongozi awe ni mweledi wa kazi.
All right, now it's less than 30 days to the second edition of the Great Chap Cross-Country Run. Now the race will take place on the 7th of December at Chep Kamel Secondary School in Tarbo. Well, let's just take a look at that particular story. And of course, it is expected that there's going to be children, teenagers, amateurs, and seasoned and senior athletes who are going to be competing in that run.
Tutakuwa na mbio za aina zote, rika zote, wakubwa kwa wadogo. Hapa ndipo mahali tutaona mambo. Ukiangalia, unaangalia Bungoma, unaangalia Kakamega, na unaangalia Kisumu. Ukiangalia pale lile milima wanyama ile ni Kisumu, hapa ni Kakamega. Kule chini ni Webuye na Bungoma na Mount Elgon na Uganda upande hili. Kwa hivyo hata wale wanakuja kutembea hapa watafurahisha pia macho yao.
Kung'ang'ana na mazoezi iko karibu ifike, bado tuko na almost 3 weeks, so I'm ready for Chef Saita na tuko nyumbani, inabidi tung'ang'ane.
Sports News brought to you by Maybets. Join Maybets leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1 au draw X au away team tu kwa game ya siku ya free bet. Weka namba yako ya simu, weka password ya account yako, chagua submit free bet. Utapata free bet kwa account yako ya Maybet. Usisahau kuverify account yako. Kama hutakuwa verified, utapoteza free bet yako after 2 days. Betting is strictly for 18 years and over. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. BCLB number 0000578.
Maybet na minia na najishindia. Pesa inavutia, pesa inavutia.
Okay, so that, of course, is the first part of our show tonight. But we're going to be taking a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be speaking to the Deputy Director of the Department of Health, Metrics and Informatics at the National Syndemics Diseases Control Council. And like I mentioned earlier when we started the show, he's going to be talking to us about the World AIDS Day, which is going to be commemorated on the 1st of December. There is a half marathon, so do not go away. We're coming right back.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I'm here to stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents. Zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want to use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange na andianga watu tuende Chepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu.
This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips. And the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Base is licensed by the CBK.
All right, and welcome back to this Friday. Thank you so much for staying with us. I hope you are enjoying the show. Well, things are about to get even more interesting. We'll be having that conversation about World AIDS Day shortly, but for now, we just want to cross over live and direct to Willis for Which is Which. All right, time to learn some proper English pronunciations. Let me bring in Willis Ochieng, joining us from Kisii. Willis, habari za jioni, uko salama? Kisii, watu wanasema nini?
Betty, Kisii ni mahali ambapo ukifika unaweza kufurahia sana, manake watu hapa ni wale watu ambao ni wakarimu sana. Na huwa wanapenda pia TV47 sana. Sasa wewe uko namna gani?
Niko salama kabisa, Willis. Thank you so much for that. Of course, I'm excited about today's lesson. Also, just coming from the surprise word, inasumbwanga watu wengi sana. But Willis, there was a word on the bulletin tonight. DCI sleuths or sleuths. That is SLEUTHS. Willis, how do you pronounce that word?
Betty, that word for detective or detectives, when you are talking about the plural form, it has two acceptable pronunciations, what we call the alternative soundings. One, sleuth, sleuth. Then you can also say sleuth. So sleuth or sleuth are acceptable, just like issue or issue.
Okay.
You get it right?
Yes, yes. Okay, Willis, thank you for that. I was not sure if I pronounced it the right way, but seems like I actually did. But thank you for that, Willis.
It happens. It happens.
Okay, Willis, let's move on to the first words that I have before we get to the test your tongue word. And for me, the one that I have first is this one, STADIA. Do we say stadia? Do we say stadia? How do we go about that one?
Oh, you're talking about the plural of stadium, and you say stadia. Now, when we see the spelling, we find ourselves saying stadia. But please, the first A takes its name as the sound, so you say stadia. Okay. Remember, we can also say stadiums when we are talking about the alternative plural of stadium.
Okay. All right, Willis. What about, you know, I've also had stadium. Is that the correct pronunciation? I've had that so many times. Stadium, you know.
Betty, English is a bit tricky, but if we get the right guidance, we can always get the things right. Now, you say stadium.
Okay.
Stadium, not stadium, and not stadium. Stadium.
Okay, Willis, got you. Moving on to this other word, let me pronounce it for you. TAMPER. Willis, how do we go about that one?
Oh, you've spelled it. That is, you say tamper, to interfere with something.
Yes.
You say to tamper with something. Tamper, not temper. Temper is T-E-M-P-E-R. Temper. So and so's temper, or to temper something, Betty.
Okay, got it. Well, let's moving on to this other word.
Yes.
It's so long. So is it lackadaisical or do you say lackadaisical?
Oh.
Yeah, how do we go about that one, Willis?
Betty, that is a very common word sometimes for those who want to sound big. So, but I'm not saying everyone. Some of those who want to sound big when speaking English really love such a word. But you say lackadaisical, lackadaisical, lackadaisical. So in running, you say lackadaisical.
Okay, got it, Willis. Yeah. I mean, I've not used that word in a long time, but now that I know what it means and how to pronounce it, probably I'll start using it, Willis. Okay. So, Willis, let's go to your collections of the week. I'm sure I've seen on X so much interaction with people asking this and that. What words do you have for us tonight?
Yes, Sami Mwada from Muranga, you say nostalgia. Nostalgia. Don't say nostalgia. Nostalgia, no. Nostalgia, and you have nausea. Then we have Victor Mandela. Victor Mandela, you say flourish, not flourish. To flourish. Then your second word, it's very tricky. You say edema. Edema, just like Oedipus complex, not Oedipus complex. Oedema, no. Edema. Then we have Titus Bravo of Bahati Nakuru. You say coupon, and your second word, couple. Coupon and couple. So the next person is Collins Omwange and Eric Kenyanya of Kisii. Now, in British English, you say router for that computing term. Router. Router. But in American English, we have router. Router. Zakina Denje and Mary Lumbwa of Kongowea, Mombasa. Now, that word, I don't like it, but I'll give you the pronunciation. Don't say scoundrel. There are people who like insulting others, and you hear scoundrel. You are not speaking English, and you've not insulted anyone. You may be innocently unaware that you have said nothing. When you say scoundrel or scoundrel, it's scoundrel. Scoundrel. Now, we have Malachi Wafula of Kakamega. You say August for that month. August, not August. Then the name is Augustine. Augustine so and so, not Augustine. Augustine, common but wrong. August, common but wrong. The month, August. The name, Augustine. Now, let's go to that word for testing our tongues. Betty, this word is very long. And we're talking about heating milk or any other liquid, and then it goes to some temperature, then it's cooled again to kill the harmful bacteria. Now, in this case, you say pasteurization. Pasteurization. Or you can also say pasture. Pasta or pasteurization. So we should get it right. Now, when you come to our surprise word for tonight, which you hinted on, it's right here. And I know it's a tricky one because many people find themselves saying obvious. That is obvious. And sometimes we say it so confidently without knowing that the B is not silent. You say obvious. Obvious. That is why it is our surprise word for tonight. But as I always say, let English be English, though nobody in this world can be perfect, Betty. But we should never be too confident about what we say before we check.
Willis, thank you for that. You know, it's the word, it's not obvious that people know it. So it's actually a surprise. It's a surprise tonight, also a surprise to me. I didn't
obvious.
know. Okay. I didn't know the B is you're actually supposed to be heard. So it's obvious. It's obvious. Yes. Okay, got it, Willis. Thank you for that. And also the scoundrel. It's funny that you say if you want to insult somebody and you're mispronouncing the name.
It happens, Betty. It happens to many people.
Yeah.
You're very busy. You are shooting a word at somebody, but you don't know that you are innocently ignorant. When I say innocently ignorant, it's just saying that somebody is not aware that what you think is right is wrong.
Okay. Thank you very much, Phyllis. Well, I'm looking forward to next week's lesson. Thank you for your time tonight and for teaching us that it's not obvious, but it's obvious. Thank you, Willis, for that. Willis Ocheng, they're joining us from KC County. And of course, you can talk to him on his X handle at Willis Ocheng1, and you can ask him all the words that you'd want to know when it comes to pronunciation. Thank you, Willis, for that. All right, so that is which. We now want to cross over and have our conversation for tonight, which, of course, like I mentioned, is about the World AIDS Day commemoration on the 1st of December. All right, so you've heard from Willis Ocheng. Actually, so far as that we actually say obvious. Well, I want to invite my guest tonight to join me on the set, Joshua Getonga from the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council. And of course, he's going to be talking to us about the World AIDS Day. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Umesikia Willis amesema it is not obvious, but it's obvious.
I think I've learned a lot today.
You learned a lot today?
Yes.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. Have a seat. Let's talk about World AIDS Day.
Thank you.
You have such a complicated title. Let me just take a look at that. So it is, first of all, I wish I asked Willis this on epidemiologists, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, Doctor, what is that about? What, maybe you can start from maybe talking to us about what you do.
So basically, what I do is that at National Syndemic Diseases Control Council, I am in charge of issues to do with strategic information. Most of the time, we want to kind of put surveillance systems in place for us to know how we are doing as a country. And that is what I do. Okay. So that basically we can be able to tell the progress that we are making as a country, and especially this time within the program, which is the HIV.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. Nice to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the marathon. Why are we commemorating World AIDS Day, 1st of December, with the half marathon? Why a marathon?
Marathon and Kenya is almost one.
Yes.
And therefore we are known for marathon. And therefore, as we are talking of, we are thinking of almost reaching the last mile as we are moving towards the 2030. And therefore it is a race against time. Actually, that is the theme that we are giving it. And therefore that fits in very well with marathon. And of course, knowing that we are Kenyans, so we want then to borrow the same and ensure that within issues to address HIV and AIDS, then we are able also to do marathon, of course, as a way of sensitizing people and helping people to participate in that discussion.
Okay.
Yes.
Marvelous. Let's talk about the theme for this year. I know there's a lot to do with the boy child. I don't know why was that arrived at? Why are we focusing this time on, a lot on, the men more than the women this time round?
Most of the times, we want to make progress. And as we are making progress, we want to ensure that we are leaving nobody behind.
Right.
And therefore, in our surveillance and following up our progress, we are keen to identify if there is any subpopulation that is being left behind. What we've realized is that now men and boys seems to be lagging. And therefore, that is why the theme of this year, we are saying that we want to focus on men. There are quite a number of things that we have with men. Number one, we know that men, when it comes to issues to do with treatment, they are also lagging. One of the things is that we always track how many people living with HIV know their HIV status, and then we start them on treatment. Now, when it comes to knowledge, men are lagging actually, compared to women.
Yes, quite. That so? I mean, that's very interesting, because I would think that, anything to do with HIV is like maybe common knowledge, common effort, but it's not. So the men are lagging behind in terms of information. Oh my God, okay, that's interesting.
Yes. Why focus on men and boys? Number one, we know that really, when it comes to knowledge, as I've said, men are lagging.
Yes.
There is the issue of possibly knowing what is HIV and AIDS and talking about it, and then the comprehensive knowledge where we translate that knowledge into actions and practices that help us prevent infection. So that is one area. Number two, when we think of starting people who are living with HIV on treatment, that is very critical because it will do two things. Number one, it helps people to lead a fruitful and productive life. And therefore, if somebody doesn't know the status, what will happen is that you will not start treatment.
Yes.
And that way, you can be able to end up getting ill health, which now makes somebody not be productive.
Okay.
So number two, we know that also men are not following up the treatment guidance that they are given. Here we are talking of retention into treatment. What we are realizing is that a number of men are following off treatment. And the challenge that we have is that what will happen is that then the transmission, because once somebody starts treatment, then it has dual purpose. Number one, it helps somebody to be healthy. The second one is transmission from one person to the other one. There is also another thing that is there about men, which we've realized, what we call to as toxic masculinity. And that is a critical thing.
Yeah, and it's also new.
Yes.
It's now new, maybe even in your research and everything that you do, that you now have to consider toxic masculinity.
Completely,
right?
Completely, because if we ignore that, in terms of the upbringing of the boy child and also men, like now we know a number of things. Like when it comes to health-seeking behavior of men, it's not good, it is poor.
Right.
And that is already evident. For example, for a man, and actually when we have a child and the child says, I'm feeling pain.
Yes.
Chances are you tell them, no, be a man.
Yeah, be a man.
Yeah.
Not being able to cry, not being able to be vulnerable in any way. People don't understand that, especially when it comes to men, right?
And therefore what has happened is that now that has limited them from seeking help and assistance when that is required. So that's another area that we need to. And also when it comes to issues to do with the alcohol and drug and substance abuse.
Yes.
Also we've seen that affecting the men quite a lot, and that discussion has been there. The main thing is that it affects the judgment of the man.
Yes.
And therefore, ability to protect becomes quite difficult. When you think of also that masculinity, we know that men, as they are growing up, there is that assumption that because you are a man, then you must have so many partners.
Yes.
You know, it's like
it's
like that's ideal for men.
Yes.
But what that does, it exposes then the man to HIV, to sexually transmitted infections, and other health conditions. So I think these are some of the things that really we look at when we look at a man. And also the other challenge that we've been seeing is what we've been calling triple threat. And triple threat is include adolescent pregnancies. Now, when we address adolescent pregnancies, at times we leave the man out. But there's no pregnancy without a man.
Yes, true.
So that is why now we are becoming intentional to say that, yes, then man also should be brought on board so that when the discussion is being made, that's the only way we can be able to respond to challenge of possibly the issue of adolescent pregnancies, sexual and gender-based violence, and also the new HIV infections. So basically, that is why we are focusing on the man.
Talking about the numbers, the new HIV infections, where are we? Are we also seeing more men, getting the disease, or how are the numbers like right now?
When we look within the Kenya, we have approximately 1.38 million people living with HIV. That is the burden that we have.
That's the ones that are just documented.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But basically, at least we are able to estimate well, so we are almost precise that
Okay.
we have approximately 1.38 million people living with HIV
All right.
within the country.
That's an improvement with regard to the numbers we've seen maybe over the years?
Yes, and when it comes to the people living with HIV, we don't normally want a reduction because a reduction also will mean death.
All right.
So we want to retain everybody alive, and therefore you find that number not changing. What, as a program, we are doing is trying to ensure that we reduce on new HIV infections.
Right.
And as a country, we are doing well because we've been able, like within the last 10 years, we've been able to move from over 100 new HIV infections per year, and we brought it to 116,000.
Okay, okay.
Now, it doesn't mean that 16,000 is okay. Still, there's a lot that we need to do, and that is why we have we are having discussions, like when it comes to the World AIDS Day. Possibly another area that we always like looking at is when it comes to the deaths that are related to HIV. In Kenya, we know that we are not doing very well. Though there has been some reduction, but we approximately estimated that possibly in 2013, we lost around 20,000 people because of HIV-related reasons. Now, it becomes also interesting then to find out why possibly such a big number.
Yes, yes.
Now, that can be explained by a number of things. Number one is that I said when somebody starts treatment, it is important because it is always a lifelong. So when anybody drops out of that treatment, it brings ill health, and that can lead to death.
Yes, yes.
And the challenge that we have actually with men is that they are coming in to seek services late.
Okay.
There is something that we call advanced HIV disease, or the AIDS itself. So when anybody comes late within treatment with advanced HIV disease, what will happen is that chances of losing life are very high. So it's really a challenge that we have. You can imagine, like out of the 1.37 that I talked about, around 41,000 they don't know they are living with HIV.
Oh, they don't know?
Yes.
Okay.
So they are living with HIV, but they don't know.
Okay.
And the reason is one, possibly they have not tested. That would be one thing. So that they come to know of their status. And that is why we talk about really testing.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So as we start to wind up our conversation, I just want to talk about the cure. Where are we in terms of, science and, just, trying to get a cure for this disease, which has been, in the world for so long? How come that has not happened yet?
It has to one aspect. First of all, the virus and how a virus mutates. That's the number one.
Okay.
And actually, that is the main thing. But quite a lot of investment is being put, and a lot of research is really being brought in to be able to get more effective treatment.
Okay.
I can assure you that when that treatment started, ARVs were so many.
Yes.
But over time, research has been done, and the number of tablets that possibly somebody will take, that has been combined so that there are fewer that one has to take.
Got it.
But just looking at the issue of the World AIDS Day, which is our fifth in this country, and also globally, we have talked about marathon. And I want just to mention how that will be done. We will have a national event at Nyayo Stadium.
Yes.
That will be on first. And that is what we gathered just to be able to commemorate.
Okay.
But more so is really what will be done. Number one, we said we will have a marathon.
Yes, yes, yes.
With this marathon, everybody can be able to participate. And we are requesting everybody to come in and also be able to participate.
Okay.
We have various races. Number one is the one that is a half marathon.
Okay.
that is 21 kilometers.
Yes, yes.
Now we're saying this is for professional runners who will be there. Then we have also 10 kilometers. This one is for the others who are experienced. Then we have also 5 kilometers.
Okay.
So as a family, we can be able to join in and be able to participate.
Right.
We have also 5 kilometers for corporates. Even now, this media house,
even us as TV47,
we can be able to.
Yes, yes.
2 kilometers. We'll have also CEOs also running 2 kilometers.
Okay.
And finally, we have also 2 kilometers for children.
Okay.
We don't want them to be left behind.
Out. All right. Okay.
But also, even those who are abled differently.
Yes, yes.
We'll have also the wheelchair, 10 kilometers.
Okay.
So basically, that is how this has
it's
been.
For literally everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're requesting if we can be able to kind of register.
Yes, yes.
For
how
that.
do they register as we wind up quickly?
When it comes to registration,
yes.
we have, you can be able to register, and I just want to give you the ones that you can be able to use.
It's a website?
It's a website within NSDCC. So you can be able to use that one.
Okay.
So it is World AIDS Day, WAD 24.
Okay.
At nsdcc.go.ke.
Okay.
Or also somebody can be able to register using star 826 star 86 hash.
Okay.
That is star 826 star and then 86 hash.
Okay.
So basically that is what we are looking forward to the World AIDS Day.
All right.
There will be also side activities. Like there will be free medical camps.
Okay.
There will be candle lighting to remember those whom we've been able to to lose along the way.
Yes, yes.
There will be also sensitizations across the 47 counties.
Okay.
And also the races will be done also across the 47 counties. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Joshua, for speaking to us. Hopefully, we'll be able to see big numbers of people wanting to participate, of course, in the marathon. And all the best.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
We appreciate and thank you so much for also allowing us to come.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So it's time for us to finish the show. You want to finish this for us?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we can just come to the front over here. So first, let me just say this is Joshua Gitong. Of course, he's joining us from the National Syndemic Diseases Control Council. Of course, talking to us about the World AIDS Day Half Marathon, which is going to be happening on the 1st of December. All right, take it away. Sema kwaherini.
Thank you so much, kwaherini, and thank you for being a viewer for the TV 47. Thank you and have a good night.
All right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. See you again next week, God willing. Good night. Thank you very much.